Hey, what's up everybody? It's your boy Elan. This time I got something special for you. I have the session up for a song that we released a few months ago called Never Give Up. Kennedy King on the lead vocal doing his thing. But I wanted to show you how we produced it, how we put it all together in our Cubase session here. And I'm gonna show you a little of our workflow, some of the plugins we used, and how I set up my session inside of Cubase. And if that's something that might benefit you or something that you enjoy watching, stay tuned. Let's go. So a lot of our songs with the majority of our band starts either with Kennedy coming to me with a guitar and vocal idea. He usually has a verse, chorus. Actually, he usually has the whole song written out. And then I build the music around what he brings. Or I make a beat, I start an idea, I start a vibe, and he writes to it. It's kind of split half and half, but we've come up with some great songs either way. This song, I had made the beat, or at least a rough version of the beat, maybe like 4 years ago. I send him a folder every so often, and he wrote this to this beat, and it came out amazing. This is a quick breakdown of the production of what we did. As you can see, I put everything into group folders here just to keep things simple for me when I look at it. This is a typical mix template for me, the way that I'll set up a song, and my mix board would look something like this. Pretty sure most of you guys have something like this going on, color coded. All my drums, you know, we have a really great drummer, Ronaldo. Some of our songs, we record live drums, but for this one I programmed it. I used some samples and programmed it to feel like a live drummer. Then we got bass, keyboard parts. We got brass. We got some synth pads, some stuff, a lot of guitar stuff. Got some percussion, and then we got the vocals. And that's how I set up my template to keep things simple. Drums. Kick drum. Tempo for this song was 85 BPM. It's a nice number for island reggae. That's the kick drum. Nice sample. Rim shot. A little bit of EQ, just controlling here. About 2000. Got some reverb. And the snare comes in on another section here on the bridge. Some EQ on that. Compressor. Ooh, that compressor did a lot. Mostly it's one drop with the side. Hi-hat. I already rendered everything, but I probably programmed this in with MIDI, and I already rendered it to an audio file so I could do some things to it. A lot of EQ here, controlling all this high end, about 11,000. Another one set at 2,300. And then low cut at about 754. Here, there's a little more going on. That's just too much space for the hi-hat in the entire mix. So you gotta start making room for things, and that's what we're doing with the hi-hat there. There'll be toms and stuff. There's a crash sample. Another cymbal sample. Route all these drums, I route, and I create a group bus called drums. And here you can see I routed it all to group drums here. So everything is being routed here. And overall to that whole group, the whole drums, I'm putting some EQ help here. Looked like I wanted to control some of the 7000 and some of the 75. And then I have this Slate virtual rack up, and I love this compressor. I've been using this compressor forever. And honestly, I pull up this preset called Mix Tighter, and something about that preset always gets me kind of right where I want to be with these group buses. It just feels like it glues everything for me like right away, and it just kind of gets me where I want to go. Looks like I'm doing about 2 dBs of gain reduction. And then I sent it to Revival, and I think it looks like barely. Just putting a little bit, adds some air when you put shimmer, and it adds just a little bit of bass, and it does its thing. I don't know what it does, but I think it's supposed to be kind of a mastering or a final thing, but I like to use it just as an overall on the group bus, and I think I use it, bring back a little more of that low end of the kick. Because the compressor was probably maybe taking too much out of the kick that I wanted. Yeah. And that's what I did with the drum bus. That was the drums flat. That's with the effects that I set, you know, some reverb and delay. So I have all my effects channels here. Sent the rim shot to Waves H Reverb. I don't know why, but I liked it. It was a default setting, and that's what I used. Bass. Put some control on the 120 here. Kind of a lot, 3 dB. So what that's doing is controlling that area. I actually programmed this bass with MIDI. I forgot which plugin I used, but it's probably Black Bass by Scarby. That's one of the best basses when you don't have your bass player and you want to just key it in. Laid it down and kept one just straight out of the plugin. Did a duplicate of the bass and tried a bunch of different things, and it looks like I ended up using a virtual mix rack and putting this compressor on, the FG116 by Slate. Because it's the parallel of the original, I'm putting a lot of compression on it. Almost 10 dB of gain reduction. And then we reamped it using the Acustica Graphite. Look at that. So it gave it so much character, and it made it really sound like it's coming out of a preamp and through a cab. And I overkilled it. I did a lot because I knew I was gonna take the original and that and blend the two signals, and this is what I came up with. Yeah, you can tell mostly the original is most of the volume, and then the parallel here I blended in. So this is the original here, and this is the copy I did as the parallel. Heavy compression and reamped it, and that's the blend I came up with. For the piano skank, simple, some EQ. A lot of control in this area. Want to make room for, you know, with a song like this for the lead vocal. I'm always keeping a lot of room here for the lead vocals. In every instrument I'm shaping some room. And of course, keeping a lot of this area for the bass guitar or a sub bass. This EQ is covering a lot. Yeah, so some low cut, controlling, and then bringing back a little bit of the brightness to get that attack on the piano. Basic EQ. I've showed this many times, the Nova Gentleman's Edition. more control, basically controlling this area 1K, 1/2 K, and this area 354 hertz. You want to keep room for the lead instrument, which is Kennedy in this case, on the lead vocal. Organ, bubble. Taming some of these frequencies. It's like a second bubble. It's like super tack tack tack. It's almost just like a percussive thing. Whatever works, I don't know. Let me know if it works or not. But that's the other bubble. In reggae music, you usually have some kind of bubble like that. Then we did some brass. The trumpet, some EQ on it, little lower end. That's probably more of a section. I have some kind of gate on it for some reason. I don't know why, but I have a gate on there. Maybe I wanted to get it more choppy because I can hear the gate clipping it off. I think I wanted to chop it up like that. Another brass, that's the low end. Ooh, that sounds like, that sounds horrible by itself, but put things together and it works out, you know what I mean? Lots of EQ going on here. This is the brass fall. That is so important right there, you know? That creates a vibe. That's such an important integral part of the song. A lot of synths have that patch where you can hold it when you hit it longer and sustain the note. It's gonna give you that, I don't know the proper term for it, but that fall off. And just put a little EQ on it. And I got another brass part. Look at this. Oh, that's the high part. Yeah. And I can tell I think what was going on is I really wanted it to be staccato. I wanted it to be like really hitting. And when you play it by yourself, you can hear it doesn't sound so great. It's almost cutting it off. That's why I put the gate on it. But when you hear it in the mix, it creates that really stab movement. And that's what I was going for. Put some EQ. And there's that gate. Clamp down on it. More EQ. You know, obviously the manufacturer makes the patch so that it sounds great when you're playing it and it takes up a lot of room. But when you put it in the mix, you have to tame it down so it fits within everything else. And then some Ruby by Acoustica. Looks like I'm boosting 8K. And again, using this preamp changes everything. Gives it a lot of character, makes it sound like it might have been recorded on tape or something. Yeah, just little things. And so on all of the brass tracks, I applied some EQ. Again, I put the Mix Tighter plug by Slate. I love this plugin on my group tracks. I really like how it glues everything together. Just real slight. Under a dB of gain reduction. Probably after I added the compressor, it was getting too bright. So it looks like I brought down just slightly 7,500 and a lot of, looks like some 2K here too. And it looks like I brought down some 200 hertz, some in the middle. Muddy frequencies. So again, you know, you can EQ it and then you hit the compressor and then it's going to do something else to it. Then put another EQ after it just to little things here and there just to figure out the overall sound. And looks like I added some mid-side EQ and I'll have more videos on this. Right inside of Q3, you can do some cool stuff, EQing certain frequencies that are in the middle, and then you can EQ certain frequencies that are happening in the left and right channels out, you know, on the stereo field. And it looks like here I wanted to clear up the middle frequencies on the brass at around 1,255 hertz. And I wanted to bring out some of the brightness, but only in the left and right channels. And a lot of times I do that because I'm really leaving this area for the most important instrument, which is the vocal. And so on a lot of the group tracks, I'm always carving, I'm always shaping room so that the lead vocal sits right in the middle without conflicting with a lot of the instruments. So if you have this brass at that frequency in the middle, there's going to be a lot of friction between the vocal and brass, keyboard, whatever stuff you have. I want to make sure there's a lot of room and it's not hard for the listener to hear that vocal right in the middle. But I want that brightness of the brass because it's super important. I'm taking it out of the middle, putting it in the sides. That's what's happening here. And if you're listening on headphones or in something that's in stereo, you can hear what that's doing. Real slight in the overall mix. This creates a lot of room. And then I got a lot of friends I know that they don't really care for this. A lot of my engineer and mix friends, but I love the CLA stuff. Oldie but goodie. I use this all the time. And for this, I'm just using it for that early slap delay. Really sets the vibe for the brass and it puts it in a spot that I love. On CLA, it's got this little pitch thing that is pretty much like a chorus modulation type of thing. I always play with that, add some character. Not too much, just a little bit. That's made for vocals, but you can use this for anything. I put it on keyboards, I put it on brass, I put anything, just really sometimes just to quickly get some kind of sound that I'm shaping, and never fails. And then right on the bus, I used the FabFilter reverb. It's a nice reverb. I think it's underrated. I don't see a lot of people using FabFilter reverb. I think it's a great go-to for a lot of things. And I used the gold plate preset and did a little tweaking to it. And it looks like I had another quarter note delay that I put on. Yeah, it's real in the back there. Which is on the second part of the chorus here. Here's some pads that we did. So I did that to really build up the second part of the chorus to make it bigger than the first part of the chorus. Adds a lot of warmth and movement. I love it. It's got that old school Juno. Just some EQ. Because you can hear there's a lot of mud in there that would not work with everything else. So cleaned it up here. Low cut. 300 hertz here. I did some EQing and then set 2100. Always shaping for the lead vocal, which is all gonna fall into this area, magic area for lead vocal, and then some air. This area is off limits for a lot of instruments if you have a lead vocal. And then we got this guy. What is this? Oh yeah, that's cool. That created a lot of movement in the song. So I got that in there. A lot of EQ, just to control it. And then another pad that goes from the get-go of the chorus. Playing different versions of the chords of the song. Arrangement wise, you never want all the instruments to be playing the same versions of the chords, the same, you want things in different registers, you want things in different sounds. I mean, there's no right or wrong, but if I have different pads going, they're definitely all playing different inversions of that chord. They're not playing the exact same chord for sure. A lot going on with the guitars. I did all the guitars on this. First and foremost, got the skank in the overall mix. That's what creates that bite on the skank. Cut out all the low end. And what I usually like to do is one left and then play one on the right. Create some stereo feel. A little different EQ, I think, on this one. Yeah. I did a guitar shadow, which is plucks. Usually it's following what the bass is doing, or it's, you know, can do its own thing. But usually the guitar shadow could be following what the bass notes are doing. That's common. I don't think I'm doing it here, but doing things that aren't common is fun too. Ran that through this preset called Pop Clean American Classics from THU. I think this is called Overloud. Such a cool plugin. I've used this on so many songs. And it's got some chorus. And then we got the preamp here, but I'm not using the reverb. Ran it through that, and then did some overall EQ, because usually when you run it through that guitar model, it adds a lot of stuff. It adds a lot of good stuff, but it adds a lot of stuff that is not going to work in the overall mix. So you can see I put a lot of control here. So all this is really designed to make room for the vocal, the lead vocal, so it can sit in the pocket without fighting with other instruments. And then I got another guitar here, and that's playing the skanks, but not muted. It's playing the whole note, creating the chord, and you can hear the tonal part of the note. I got that going through the same plugin with the Pop Clean preset. Oh, but this one I got the reverb on it. Yeah, so I got chorus into the amp head, and I got the reverb. I love that way that reverb sounds, because it sounds like you might have recorded it with a mic on the amp, and that's what they're trying to make it sound like, and it does sound like that. It sounds like we put a SM57 right on the amp and got this sound. But we did it. We got it from this plugin. I love it. And it looks like I got a lead guitar that I brought in on the bridge and all the way out. Let me show you. Yeah, that's so much fun. Anyway, it's crazy because this is dry. I recorded it like that because obviously I didn't record it with an amp. We used plugins. So this is dry. Not the greatest part, but in the mix, man, I love it. Yeah, a little dirty. But so we added again, Overloud, American Classics. Stayed with that the whole way. Man, that's such a fun part. From there, we added slight percussion. I got this tambourine loop, and it was a super bright sample, so I wanted to take out all of that. And then I have a timbali sample that I used. That's it right there. You know, a lot of the time we record, obviously, all that stuff live with our drummer, but sometimes I make beats and I'm just doing it on my laptop or at home, and I'm not recording live drums, and I want to get the vibe of what I'm trying to do. And most of the time it works. That's the foundation of the song right there with all the instrumentation. And then of course, the important thing, which is the vocal melody lyrics. Got the lead vocal here. My love, and promise to each other that we'll never give up. He's a bad boy. That's the lead vocal, Kennedy on there. That's the melody of the chorus. It depends on the session, but on this session, he sang it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times, right? Every artist is different, but I love working this way. And it allows us to not get too hung up on pitch or how you should phrase a certain area. It just allows him to tell the story from start to finish. Because when you start punching and you start spending 20, 30 minutes on one section, you just start losing the total feel of what we're trying to do with the song. Ultimately, you're trying to tell a story with the song. The way you sing in the first verse is going to be different than the way you sing in the second verse, or the way you sing certain phrases are going to be different because you're expressing different things. And I don't want the singer or him to lose that feeling. So I have him sing the song all the way from start to finish. And we do that 6 times. If the singer is not getting it in the 4th or 5th time or within those takes, then they're not ready. They should be able to sing the song from start to finish. And then, of course, we go back and punch problem areas, parts that might require more breath support, or if we're still writing a section out, he's singing the song all the way start to finish. And then I go in, comp all those takes into one take. And that's what you see, the one take from all of the raw takes, which is here. But I, of course, keep all the raw takes because you might want to go back and do some things. But I put that in a separate folder here, and you can barely hear it when it's mixed in with the actual vocal, but I used Sound Toys Alter Boy like I always do, and I brought it down a whole octave and changed the format a little bit, a lot. Got that sound. Just to support that part of the song. It's real tucked, but creates movement. You don't know what you're hearing, but the listener knows there's something different than just the lead by itself. We'll do a whole video on this. There's so many things you can do with plugins like Little Alter Boy. I know songs, and I've done songs where you have this running through the whole lead the whole time. I've heard a lot of country songs that have Alter Boy running an octave through the whole song, and it works. It sounds great. So I have it here in the pre-chorus, right? Sounds like Arnold or something. The background vocals, and I keep that in a whole another folder just so it's easy for me to navigate around. And we got quite a few background vocals going on here. Put all my background vocals in a separate folder. As you can see, I'm routing. These two are the main melody, the main hook. I wanted them on a separate group track, but everything else, all the harmonies and everything, I have routed to something called Vox as a group track, and that's all this here. And from there, lots of processing going on, so a lot of EQ. So that's the EQ. Because there's so many voices, so many things going on, vocal covers so much of the spectrum of the soundscape that it needs a lot. When you start doubling, adding, and we got 30 different background vocals, it's a lot. Frequencies start to resonate, so a lot of control is needed. And that's what I'm doing with these first two Q3 EQs. As you can see, Q3 is my go-to corrective EQ. I'm not using it to add color. I'm not using it to put character or anything. It's just purely I can really quickly get in what I'm hearing is incorrect or what I'm hearing I want to fix. I can do it quickly with Q3, and you need that. It's not just add. You have to subtract first, or if it needs it. The first thing you want to do is make room, subtract, and that's what I'm doing with Q3. And then we're coming into Slate Virtual Mix Rack. Just using the trimmer to bring all of the vocals to a level that I want after I mix the levels of the harmony that I wanted, and then I can control it here. And turning down, looks like 400, bringing it down about, almost 6 dBs, so clearing out a lot of the mud there.
Promise to each other that we'll never give up. Gotta trust love.
So cleaned up a lot of the mud. And again, mix tightener and then tweak it just a little. About 3 dB, catching those peaks. So good. So that brings everything kind of into a more unified sound. From there, more EQing. See all that low end? That's not gonna work on this song, so taking all that away. But on this song, I took out in the middle, I took out around 1000. I wanted to clear up 1000. And why I do that is so that the lead vocal is what I want to really sit focused in the middle. So the background, I'm trying to push out these frequencies here. I'm trying to push those out to the sides so that they don't collide with the lead vocal. And that helps make a lot of room on the vocal side. The middle, I'm ducking, you know, I'm EQing down. And then on the side, I'm making it up in the same spot. So I'm boosting for the sides and I'm bringing the middle down. And that's gonna make room. Yeah, especially on the low harmony notes, I want those to not be really mudding up where the lead vocal is going to be. So trying to push a lot of the background vocals to the sides, a lot of the energy from the background vocals to the sides. That's what I'm doing there. And then finally, Chris Lord Algae, Waves, and I just popped it up just to put some basically modulation. This is kind of some chorus stuff. You hear how it just widens it up. So getting all the background stuff on the sides, left and right. I don't need that information in the middle, or I don't need the bulk of that information in the middle. It's just gonna cloud everything up. With all that mid-side EQ and everything I did. And promise to each other that we'll never give up on us. Got to work together no matter we gotta stay strong. So you can see the background vocals aren't competing in the middle with the lead vocal. The lead vocal is sitting and the background vocals are really just wrapping around the lead vocal and supporting it. There's no everything in the middle fighting for each other. And that's what I try to aim for with a song like this. And then of course, overall, all the vocals not fighting with any of the instruments in the mix. And then from there, all these group tracks I routed to a submix, which is here. And then from the submix, it's going to my stereo bus here. And again, I don't put anything on my stereo bus except a limiter that's just set for clipping. Go to a 16-bit file. I do use Dither, this plugin for it. But other than that, there's nothing on my stereo bus except analyzers. And I use Insight. I use Insight just to see my levels and other things. You can see your stereo field and things like that. But other than that, it is all coming to the submix. And from there, all the group tracks, first hit my trimmer here. So I have control of all of the group tracks like this here. This is nice too, because you can kind of see how dynamic your overall mix is going right now, you know, how much it's moving. That's a lot of movement. I'm not sure, I tweaked a lot of stuff as we were going through it, but that's a lot of movement. The main thing here is you want to make sure also that you're not having any huge peaking, you know. Don't want that, so. kind of get where you're going to get there, and you can go back to all your individual tracks or your groups and see if you need to do more compression or more EQing to kind of get that all even. You want to get that as good as possible. And then I'm going to hit it with Slate tape, one of my favorites. Add that analog emulation, that tape emulation. Then I'm hitting it with some more corrective EQ. I have plenty of instances of the same plugin because I don't want to ruin what I may have done and I like. I just open up another instance of it. That way, if I mess it up, you know. Controlling 135 there. Then went into Ruby. Probably just use it mostly for the preamp, getting that analog character. Just like looks like a half a dB. I put some air back in there with 10K, I think, is what I wanted to do here. That plugin is so good, but it's so little, but it's doing a lot, and it's mostly this preamp. The preamp's awesome. I don't know. This is. I know it seems counterintuitive, but sometimes you need to go through this process to get the final result you want. And so, yet another instance of Q3. And then finally, I hit it with, I love this oldie but goodie, the 2500 by Waves, the API. You know, just like not even like a dB of gain reduction, but this API adds so much when you want that attack sound, that snappy. This is so good for that. I use it all the time. It's so good for that. I got analog off because we're using the Acoustica analog, and that's the one. And that's it. And I use TDR to bring all my levels up, and we can do that in a different video. But again, I try to get it to about 14 LUFS for Spotify. And I'm using that to really bring my levels where I want. Because, you know, things probably changed in the mix session, but I would, so this is a little too soft, so I'd go bring that up a little bit. Right about there. Some of the best limiting, so good. And that's Never Give Up, full production breakdown and the mix workflow that I did on this song. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you want more content like this, go ahead and like and subscribe and all that stuff. And I'll be sure to make more of this because I'm getting better at it. All right, peace.